Truly, the male lion is the first couch potato, but anyway. Lions have a lot of self-esteem because they're organized in prides, anyway. They're affectionate. And I wanted to have a video today that was so illustrative of this. Did you know lions are one of the most affectionate of all animals? It's fact. So they're in the cat family, but all cats are different. Same family, difference. They have paws that have extra soft hair. They have extra hair than most cats. So obviously they can stalk better and quiet. Their color matches the grass most of the year, beige. Did you know as you look at cats, even tigers, lions proportionally have larger eyes, so they can be better hunters. It's very, very, again, the wisdom of God in creating all things. Their smell is exceptional. And how many know this common? The roar of a male lion, which they mainly roar at night because they're asleep during the day, right? While the lionesses are doing the hunting and all the work, okay? Raising the cubs and doing the hunting, cleaning, washing, and everything else. How many miles can be heard at night? 8 kilometers. That's 5 miles. They have extra strong teeth. Actually, tigers are larger. The male tiger is larger than a male lion by a couple 100 pounds. Male lion can grow as big as 9 feet long, up to 550 pounds. A lioness is a great hunter, but a lion is called the king of all beasts. We don't call him the king of the jungle because they don't live in the jungle. Now it's interesting, lions were in India and Asia and the Middle East. They were the Asiatic lion, which was a little smaller. The last Asiatic lion was killed in 1930. There's a picture of it on the internet. But lions are amazing. Now what kills a lion? Pretty much nothing. Except once in a while a hippo. And once in a while, did you know a giraffe can swing its head like this, like a club, like a golf club? And if a giraffe gets angry, it swings its head. It can down a lion. But I love this quote about lions. This quote: truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. Just let it loose, and truth, like lions, defends itself. God uses lions in illustrations many times. He also uses them as an illustration of He takes care of them. Psalm 104. The young lions roar for their prey, and they seek their food from God. But that's quite a statement to be taken seriously. When the sun rises, they withdraw, and when they lie down in their dens, the person goes out to work and to his labor in the nighttime until evening. Very powerful animal science there. Lions are extreme nocturnal animals. They're active at night and they're totally sleeping all day, which the scriptures say very clearly. Lord, how many of your works, in wisdom you've made them all. The earth is full of your pleasure. Your possessions. So the Lord is... Now the Lord also illustrates a lion in a sense of like the devil. See this one. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. God symbolizes nothing more terror-filled than a hungry lion looking for its prey. Be of sober spirit, be on the alert. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. It doesn't say fear. It just be on the alert. Be of sober spirit. So it talks about, keep aware, because you have an enemy, which we talked about last week, about you have an enemy. Jesus said it in all the scriptures together. Now, how are we like lions? Righteous or bold as a lion, says the scriptures. David defended his flock from lions, the Asiatic lion, and bears. I've done research because Elaine's dad had a biblical slingshot that he found, that there was some meeting and they had it. These biblical slingshots were powerful. You had to be trained on them and work at them. And when you'd let a rock go about this big, or whatever the rock was, when you let a rock go that you got hit in the head or the shoulder or whatever, it hurt. And if you kept swinging it and hit someone in the head, most of the times they went unconscious. Sometimes if it hit in the right place, it could kill you. A slingshot with a rock going around. But mainly it stunned whatever was, and then they ran up and they killed it. So that's what they did. David just had a slingshot with the bear and the lion. In the New Testament, we know there's the negative aspects. The Babylonians, the Persians, and the Roman Empire, they used the lion's den to put people in and to be devoured by them. Paul in 2 Timothy chapter 4, 16 through 18, Paul was very clear. He said, the Lord, by his mercy, delivered me from the lion's mouth. So that was early active in the first century church of Christians going to the, quote, lion's den. Also, heaven, the one day is seen as the lion and the lamb. Isaiah 11, 6 through 7, and Isaiah 65, 24 through 25. I'm so glad that predation will end. Predation is just a short period of time. There were no predators till after Noah came off the ark. And predation and all this will end. And there'll be harmony in creation. And it's very specific. It's not foggy. It says things like the lion will lie down with the calf. The wolf will befriend and hang out with the lamb. Well, that's a powerful symbol. It says that the bear will enjoy being with the ox. I mean, what? Beautiful imagery. But Isaiah 65 says so clearly, and this is the one I love in Isaiah 65, so it repeats this. In God's new heaven, new earth, meaning the restored Eden, the Garden of Eden restored, the new heaven, new earth one day. It says, and I love this, the lion and the cow will graze on grass together. Boy, was that a beautiful symbol of what God's going to do in the future when he puts his animals back in a wonderful way. So, but the first Peter says the devil is an enemy. Luke chapter 10, verse 19 says, do not fear. Jesus said, I give you authority over all the enemy. Nothing can hurt you. But he is an enemy if you're outside of Christ, or you need to be on the alert for his power and his ways. You know, it's interesting. I learned early about be on the alert. In Colorado, you'd go camping, and you'd always leave the fire burning all night. Okay, repeat, fire burning all night. Why? Kept away the bears and the mountain lion. You let the fire go out, you're in trouble. So I don't want to wake up with a bear on top of me. They didn't like the fire. Peter says, be sober, be self-controlled. Your adversary's out there. 1 Peter chapter 4, 2 through 6 says this, but I'll let you know that you got to let the fire of the Holy Spirit be burning in your heart. You got to be alert and aware. Why do we pray? Why does the Lord's Prayer say, deliver us from the evil one? It's not evil. Why does the Lord's Prayer, why does Jesus himself say, pray, deliver us from the evil one? 1 Peter chapter 4 says this, don't live for the lust of the flesh, taking on the course of this world, the sensuality, the lust, the orgies, the drunkenness, the carousals. Rather, live for God. Live for God in a good way. And don't let this evil overtake you. Powerful. Did Peter know what people did? That scripture I've read a million times, it seems like, and I said it applies then, and it applies now. The drinking parties and the orgies and the carousals and the amazing how the Lord gives us good instruction. You see, with the enemy, the devil, he is a prowling lion too. What does that mean? You know, that we have enemies that we're not aware of. Remember 9/11? We woke up from 9/11 that day, and we realized we had many enemies that wanted to harm us. In Europe, we had enemies in World War II that wanted to harm us. Do you realize the greatness of Winston Churchill? Anybody? Winston Churchill for 20 years warned against Hitler and nobody listened. Be on the alert, be aware. It's amazing to me. I read this in college, European history, and I've read this again about Karl Marx. about the Karl Marx person, father of communism and socialism. His life story is very simple. He turned on God. There was a time he actually wanted to believe in God, and he turned on God and said, no, I pledge my allegiance to Satan. It's not an urban legend, that's in his writings. Some people have tried to take it out, but it's in the original writings of Karl Marx. With Hitler, we are aware, Stalin. We knew in World War II, we used Stalin to defeat Hitler, and then we let Stalin have his way in Russia, and he went on to kill, yes, close estimates are 25 to 30 million people, totally. Mao in China, 50 million are conservative estimates. We need to be alert, aware. We can't, when there's it's unbelievable how we'll see there's a problem we don't even deal with. Well, it'll come back to haunt us. So we have an active stalker called the devil. We don't fear, we don't worry, we just keep cautious and on the alert. On the alert for, I watch the ID channel. I don't know why I watch it, but once in a while I watch the ID channel and they have stalker night and all these people that have stalked people and how they caught them and stuff, but still, wow, the stalker. So we don't fear, but we only fear God, but we become aware. So anyway, growing up, I used to love lions. Growing up, I used to watch Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. If you're over 50, you understand that beautiful program. It was good as Walt Disney. And I knew of a pastor, and it's amazing. But anyway, my dream was to go on a safari, never have. My favorite movie growing up as a little kid was Atari with John Wayne. Never went, but I knew a pastor who did go. Pastor Jimmy did go to Africa, and his wife Karen, and he told the story. And I was at a conference when he told this story, and it was incredible how Pastor Jimmy and his wife Karen, their dream was to go on a safari. They went to Botswana. They were there for 3 weeks. They saw hippos, giraffes, elephants, lions. They were having a great time. Their two guides in Africa, in Botswana, the two guides were Blessed and Solomon. What a name. What's your name? My name's Blessed. Okay, great. Hi, Blessed. The other one was Solomon. And Jimmy asked, do you fear lions? He said, no, we understand them. We understand the cautions. No. Remember, they're not even active during the day. We can go out at night. No. We go out only during the day. We have no problem. At night, we never go out. People in Africa know to stay in the hut. So, we know that lions are completely nocturnal, so it's safe during the day, not safe at night. He said, we as villagers, we stay in the hut at night. We don't go out at night, even with guns. We don't go out at night. Oh, okay, great. So they went on their first lion hunt, and it was during the day, and 90% of them were sleeping, but they went real close to them. And what they went in, look at this picture, what they went in is the typical vehicle. Now, if you're looking at it right now, you're wondering, what the heck? The first question I have, can't the lions jump over and attack them? Many of the vehicles didn't have roofs, and some of them didn't have doors on them. Everybody with me? Well, Solomon answered the question. Solomon said, well, you understand how lions see. They don't see like we do. They see it like a truck. And they see just one piece, so they don't, it's too big for us to hassle. They don't see individual people that could get out and they could kill. They see it differently than we do. So they went out during the day, and that was fun. Because the lions are primarily sleeping. It was wonderful during the day. Then they went out at night. Everybody with me right now? They went out in these vehicles at night. The lions, the leopards, everything was just active as anything. And he said it was the most scary event he's ever had. They came up to the thing. He said at night they'd come up to the truck, and then, like a cat would do, they'd kind of rub themselves, He said my leg was here, and there was a cat rubbing himself. And he said, no, I don't want to go out at night. He said, oh, we're fine. Same thing, their sight. They know this is too big for them to do anything about it. So anyway, they were having just a great time for this 3 weeks. Then they would, at night, they would go to their little huts, and they were told to stay in your hut. Do not come out of your hut until we come to your door and take you to the hut place, or the place you're having dinner. And he said, oh, by the way, the Botswana safari people said you need to sign these forms that if you die, we take no liability of your death, okay? Did you ever hear that? They had to sign off their life. So they said, okay. So one night, they were late for dinner. And Pastor Jimmy was very impatient, like most men, for dinner. An hour went by from the time of eating, and he got upset. Then it was an hour and a half. Then it was almost an hour and 45 minutes. So during that time, Jimmy told Karen, I'm going to go outside and stand there and wait for him. And Karen said, no. They said, don't go out. Not even outside the door. Well, just not outside the door, no big deal. Look, we could see the light of the dining hall. We could rush real fast and be there. It's been about an hour and a half. Late. I'm hungry. So Karen said, listen. Stay in the hut like they told you. Listen to what they've told you. So the third time he went out and said, okay, shut the door and said, I'll just wait. So another hour, it was about an hour and 45 minutes, and then someone came and knocked on the door. After an hour and 45 minutes, the guy was there with his gun and said, it's time for you to eat. And Jimmy said, well, why did it take so long? We were waiting an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, blah, 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 you know, blah, 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 blah. The guy looked at him and said, we were waiting. Well, we know that. We were waiting for the leopard in front of your door to leave. The leopard in front of your door. Jimmy looked at his wife and said, doesn't the Lord say something about listening? Yeah, if you have ears, listen, don't question. And Jimmy, the wife said, that was the best lesson ever taught to her husband, never known. Yeah, that jaguar was just outside, so they could have killed it, or they could have waited it out. They waited out the jaguar, and they came. So, lesson number 1, listen. Do we listen to the Lord, or do we kind of make up our own minds? Oh, no, I don't know, the Lord, And then the guy kept saying, in the light, we are safe. In the darkness, we are not. And Jimmy said, that is such a beautiful spiritual principle. Do not stay in the darkness of evil, but in the light of life, in the light of Christ, stay in the light. So he thought that was wonderful. So they learned their lesson. The next day, Solomon and Blessed were the two guards. So Solomon and Blessed took him out to a walk. They both had guns. He felt secure. They went out walking. It was during the day. They were safe. He felt very insecure, Jimmy, but he went with them. Then they had a good day, saw a lot of animals, came back. The next day, they went out. And Blessed didn't have a gun this time. Both the guides and himself went out. His wife wouldn't go. They both went without a gun. And he said, don't you need your gun? Well, no, we don't really need it. Can I take your gun? Jimmy said, why no gun? Well, he said, we honestly know the daytime protocol. So they walk out after about 2 miles, a big bull elephant. Okay, let's get a big bull elephant came up and stood there on the doorstep. They didn't know what to do. They were in panic. And Solomon and Blessed said, stay there. We don't have guns. Don't worry, we don't need them. They rush you, but if we do this, and if you stand firm and don't run, you clap, they stop. So the big bull rogue elephant came toward him, did the rush, and then he stopped, and they clapped, and then he looked, turned around and went off. And Pastor Jimmy said, well, I still need to go back to the house. Well, we're fine. You don't need a gun. Don't worry, we don't need guns. He said, it's not the gun. He said, I need some new underwear. Anyway. He told Pastor Jimmy, can you imagine a bull elephant rushing you and then just clap? And if you don't run, Jimmy said, I never listened better to the Bible after this day and this trip that I've never listened. Well, what's the point? The point is, he kept saying too, when they made many other trips in the Jeep, and he said, remember, when you're in the Jeep, you're safe. You step 1 foot outside the Jeep, and you're dead. Don't take a picture, don't jump out, don't think you're far away. Stay in the Jeep, Do not get out of the Jeep. The same way we need to stay in the church. The church is Christ. Jesus said, I build my church and the gates of hell shall not prevail. Jesus said, where 2 or 3 are gathered worshiping me, I'm in their midst. We need the herd. When you get outside the herd, which we saw in COVID, the herd disappears. Jesus said, I build my church and you be part of it. Hebrews says, let us consider how to stimulate one another to love and good deeds, not forsaking our own assembly together as the habit of some is, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing. Meaning, encourage one another, bless one another, stay together. Stay in the herd. You know what happens if you don't stay in the herd? This next picture of lions attacking this water buffalo. The lions, Solomon and Blessed, the guide, said, lions don't take anything but the weak and the ones that stray from the herd. And Jimmy said that really got his heart, and it's got my heart. I hope it has your heart. And he said he said 8 out of 10 hunting excursions for lions are not good because they stay together. They don't stray. But the minute there's a weak one or there's one that strays just a little bit, they go after that one that strays and gets them, and kills them and eats them. You can't stray from God's people. Because you're all alone, you're open prey for him who hates our soul. Well, they went on many night trips. And he'd never forget the one night trip where Jimmy said, I literally was tested in my faith more than I've ever been tested. He said that they went out one night and there were lions everywhere. They came up to one area that the lions were eating a water buffalo, and there were 20 lions. And the guy pulled right up to the lions. And Jimmy said, I'm done with my love of the African Botswana safari. I'm done. And he said, they went out here, and he said, they were not kidding. Active at night, during the day, you're fine. Well, he said, I'm going to listen to everything you say. He said, I hope you guys do, especially at night. He said, but during the day, you listen too. So the next day, they were taking another tour to the lions. And one of the guys said, can I get out to take a picture? And Solomon said, what have I told you? Don't get out for any reason. Okay, that's the rule. He said 2 weeks ago we had litigation, we won. A Japanese tourist came and just barely stepped out, grabbed the door, stepped out a little bit to take a picture. And a lion ran and nabbed him and killed him. So what do you think? Oh, we'll listen. But how come they can't jump in? Because lions see different things. Then you had to re-explain everything to him. Why? What? Just a little bit out of the car. And when the Lord tells us things, I think about that sometimes. How powerful that is, that to listen rather than think we know more. The devil is not to be feared, but he will cause fear. The devil is the king of unbelief. And one last story, the warthog. You got to look at the warthog story before we go today. God teaches us lessons. Jimmy came back saying, I've learned more about listening to God through my trip with the animals than any other time of my life, because it's real and there's danger. Did you realize there's spiritual danger if you don't know Christ? If you don't know him and are abiding in him, you're living in a world that's full of the evil one, full of sin and out of control. Do you know what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 5? Read it. 1 Corinthians 5, he said the worst thing is to be outside the church because you're in the dominion of Satan. So Paul said you don't want to be cast out of the church and in the dominion of Satan, where you can be destroyed. Paul said that in 1 Corinthians 5. What's the spiritual principle? Well, the last one is the warthog. Can everybody say smart? Can everybody say smart? Let's look at the picture of the warthog. I think God had a bad day when he made the warthogs, okay? He probably had a headache. Kind of ugly, isn't it? how can I accuse God of anything? But he had a purpose, okay? I think he made warthogs so we could see how beautiful the other animals are, okay? We could really see it. But you know the warthog can beat lions? How many knew that today before they came in? Warthogs. Well, they have nice holes, yes, but I'm talking about if they don't get in their hole. They could beat lions. You want to know why and how? The warthog runs to the lion roar rather than away. All the predators run away. Lions are so smart, they're a pride. They're not just individual, isolated, solo cats like the cat. But the male lions will roar, and the female lions will be a couple miles back, hiding in the grass. So they roar them into what? The lioness is hiding in the grass. There's a strategy that the lions have. The warthogs figured out quickly that if we run to the roar and don't run this away, we can run up almost close to the male lions because they're so lazy, and we can run away and they don't do anything. Fact. You ever hear me? So they run to the roar, not run away and be trapped. But what spiritual principle? That's the whole point of today. What's the spiritual principle today? The spiritual principle is when you hear the roar of the devil, run to the roar. Because the Lord God protects you. How does he protect you? The next picture is Mufasa. Beautiful Mufasa. Remember his little cub? And do you remember when the little cub was trying to get away the hyenas? And it kind of chirped, like, and all of a sudden the hyenas took off. Because they didn't know, that little cub didn't know that Big Daddy-O was behind him. I never forget that scene. Because they saw Big Daddy, and he roared, and they went away. What do I mean, live under the roar? I want each one of us to live under the roar, regardless of the roars of the evil, of sin. We're living under, I hope, if you know Jesus Christ, you're living under the ultimate roar and security and power of the universe, right? Yeah. Do you want to live under the roar? Yeah. Jesus Christ? Yeah. Then live under his word. Live under his provision, that is the armor of God. Live under his spirit. Galatians talk about live under the spirit. Live under the qualities that he gives you, not the qualities of sin. So living under the roar is living under the qualities that Christ gives and knowing him. Living under his word and his protection. Living under his body. I build my church. In fact, Ephesians 4:10 says this. Christ gave pastors, teachers, evangelists, prophets to the church to build it up, to grow it, and to spread it. So God has a great purpose in his church. A powerful purpose in his church. I'd like to close with this, and it's so wonderful. This symbol. And in Africa, they say it. Whenever they see a lion, there's been occasions of lionesses coming up and helping a wounded gazelle and protecting it and nurturing and becoming a mother. Whenever an African sees that, they say, heaven's come to earth. Heaven's come to earth. That's accurate. Because one day there'll be a new heaven, a new earth. No more predators, no more prey. The lion and the cow will eat grass together. Isaiah 11 says this, the wolf will dwell with the lamb. The leopard with the goat. The lion and the calf will be friends. That's actually what the Hebrew says. The cow and the bear will graze together. A little boy will walk amongst them. A little boy will even touch a snake and not be harmed. The lion will eat grass like the ox. And the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord. Everyone will know him. I look forward to that day, that new heaven, new earth. Isaiah says this, and I hope I could read it. I create a new heaven, a new earth, and no one will die. The wolf And the lamb will hang out together. I love that. Wolf and lamb will hang out together. The lion and the cow will sit together and will stand up and eat grass together. Anybody hearing me?
Yes.
My whole spirit says, bring this day, Lord. And it's coming. This is our future. I have never in my life seen a more touching video. I remember I showed this to the church. I showed this to my staff. It only has 21 million views in the last 15 years. Only 21 million. It's about Christian the lion. Christian the lion was a cub that they found in a cast off from a circus. And in England, these two men raised Christian. They loved him and they treated him. He was wonderful. And he got too big, about 200 pounds. He was only two years old. He was 200 pounds. So they wanted to return him to the wild. No, everybody said it can't be done. He's domesticated. So they went to places in Botswana and other places of Africa to return this lion to the wild, Christian the lion. And there's videos all over the internet on it. It just grips your heart like nothing else. And it shows you something that'll touch your heart so deeply, you will say yes to Jesus now if you don't know him. So they brought him back to the wild, and it was hard. They stood out there for a year. He just didn't seem to be getting it, so they left, and finally Christian disappeared for a year. The man who taught him, he said, I don't know what happened. So they just returned to kind of mourn, the two that raised him from England. They returned him, they mourned, they sat there. And they were walking along these rocks 2 days before they were going to leave. And on the hill was Christian the lion. And he ran down, jumped up on him and embraced him and licked him. This huge lion. And he wouldn't stop. You can see in the video. He wouldn't stop. Lions are affectionate. Trust me, that's the truth. And they hugged him and they embraced and they just said, this is the greatest thing I've ever experienced. And then they looked up and they saw Christian's wife coming. Here came Christian's wife, Lioness. Came up to him, looked at him. Wild lions, folks. If Christian likes you, I gotta like you too. So they sat and had the time of their life, enjoying that animal. The Lord made all things, including humans, animals, everything. He's got a great purpose for us. I can't wait for the day when we can play with lions. Heavenly Father, this is so amazing because it's real. Everything in your word is real. It happens. And one day, the lions and the beautiful animals will be our wonderful friends again in every way. Lord, you gave us a special touch through this special lion called Christian. You gave us a special vision of paradise restored. Heavenly Father, I pray that everyone looking online or whatever, if they have not accepted Christ as their Savior, they'd say, today's the day. I want to be part of this wonderful thing that God has made and will make and has made. I want to be part of Christ. I have fallen short of the glory of God. I have not lived for God. And yet He's done everything for me on the cross and through His resurrection. I receive Him as my Lord and Savior. I want to enjoy this new creation one day. I choose Christ. I choose the wonderful future that He has for us. I choose to be forgiven. I pray you make that decision right now in Jesus' name. Amen. Let's stand together for our closing hymn.